Today I'm going to share with you where I got the resources to start my own school. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you know, I am Cindy Lumpkin, the LD educator, and today I will be doing a long-awaited video. I recently started a series on how to start your own school, and so one of the final videos to that was the finances. A lot of people have really been interested in it, and matter of fact, I had a couple of people to reach out to me and say, hey, when are you going to do that video? Well, I am going to do that video today. In addition, however, because I've had a couple of people, more than what I could really handle, to be real honest with you, to kind of reach out to me and ask me more questions, that I've decided that I was going to put together some type of resource for the new year that will really give you more specific information. If you're really interested in taking this journey, that it can become more of a reality. You can physically see what certain things look like. Okay guys, so starting your own school is not for the faint at heart. I started these videos because I wanted to really inspire other people who had the same dream to not give up on that dream, because it's such a daunting task. Like, if you look at it just from where you are, you probably can really talk yourself out of it, because like I said, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I never, even though I had the dream, I couldn't see how I was going to make it happen. And now I did also say in some of the other videos that I am extremely spiritual, and I really feel like this is the direction that God wanted me to go in. So I do feel like I received a lot of supernatural miracles, I guess you could say, or favor. However, I still think that, you know, whether you are spiritual or not, whether you feel like a divine calling to this, I really feel like this is something that the average person can make happen. And of course, there's a lot of perimeters around that, right? So you just kind of have to really evaluate where you are, what you think you can bring to this, and if you're willing to wait in some cases, work harder, work more than one job, I really think that you can also make this happen. So here are the ways that I finance my school from the jump. Obviously, personal funds. I believe I said in one of the first videos that I made that my nonprofit actually had $75 in its bank account when I first started this process. So in it, I had to pay initial costs for like just additional, maybe business license, that I had to go and like register the physical location of the building. I came out of pocket with when I hired a consultant for my accreditation, and I believe that was like maybe a couple of $100 or so for. In addition, now I don't know if you guys are in a position to do this. You know, I do have a husband who is my provider, and when I decided I wanted to venture out into this, we did agree that I could use some of my retirement money. So when I left public schools, I actually just pulled my retirement money. Now, of course, there's some pros and cons to that, right? Because if you pull it, then Uncle Sam is definitely going to tax you. But that's what I did personally, because I was in that position to be able to do it. I still have mixed emotions about doing that. I would say if you don't have to, don't do it. Because I feel like I would have liked just having the safety net of still having that money there, or when I turn 65 or however old you are when you get it, I would like to have had it more than not, right? But I needed it, and we did not have that discretionary funds on hand. So in order to make this happen, that was a faith move on me. I poured my money out. Let's see. In addition, if you are currently working, I would say just open up some type of savings account to work towards it. Even if it's only $5, like, it's better to do something than nothing. And a lot of times when we do nothing, we just waste a whole bunch of time. So even if by the end of the year you have $200 or however 5 times 12 is, because you put $5 a month in there, is more than what you had at the beginning. So if you are working, I would say find a way to start to open up some type of fund where you're saving money towards it. Hey, and if you're like me and want to go for the gusto and pull your retirement out when you leave for leave to actually do this, then do it. But if not, because you also have to realize some of you're not going to do this immediately. And I think that's the other thing. Sometimes, once again, we shut down because we're like, oh, it can't be done. No, it can't be done today, but it may be done from a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now. I had the dream a lot longer than just, I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I want a school. Then, bam, a school was in my hand. And I think that's another thing, that you have the luxury of hearing my story and being able to start planning with a lot more information than what I had. So I used some of my own funds. In addition, my mother helped me out with unquote a loan. She eventually gave me the money. I didn't have to repay it back, but it wasn't a whole bunch. And I will say, and I have to kind of go back and look at the audit that I had done of my organization when I started, but I think we had a total of maybe, I think it was like 30 some thousand, and maybe only 20 some thousand was actual cash. And so the other amount came from like the volunteer hours that I was putting in there. And when I do this extended resource for you guys, I kind of explain all of that to you. You can do loans. My mother was at first considered a loan, and it still kind of is, because I would love to pay her back, but she doesn't expect it. So instead of going to a bank, if you have like a person like that you can go to who would definitely be more flexible with payback, is better. I would say stay away from loans unless you really have it all planned out, that you already know that you have a certain amount of students who are just waiting for you to open up your doors. I would say stay away from like bank loans and so forth, especially in the beginning. I just don't think it's a good idea. It's one thing for me to lose my own money. It's another thing for me to lose somebody else's money who's going to be knocking on the door wanting their money back. So personal funds, which I did, then loans, which I did, but not in a traditional sense. My mother gave me a couple of thousand. Let's see. Government resources. This is what really, really helped me. Now, for those of you who don't know, my school is specifically for students with learning disability. So all of my students have IEPs. And in most states, because public schools just, for lack of a better word, they just don't have the answer for students who learn differently. And they do so horribly that for the most part, these parents have gotten together and rallied together and said, hey, we need more than what just the public school is offering. So in response to that, a lot of states have adopted like a voucher program. Now, some of them don't like to call it a voucher program. Like the state that I'm in, they stay away from that word and they call it a scholarship program. But this scholarship program basically is for every child who has an IEP. If a parent feels that the public education system is not meeting their need, then they are able to pull their special education funds. So let me try to help you understand what that looks like again. So every child who receives an IEP, they get an additional amount of money in order to implement that IEP. So we know that per capita, each child has a certain amount, right? So a child with an IEP not only has that amount, but then they get additional amount of money so that they can actually get whatever services that are written in the IEP. So for most states who have some type of voucher program, or they may call it a scholarship, for those students, they get that money. And in our state, I think the average may be about $5,000. Although I have had students who have gotten up to over $8,500. So, but we'll say just the average is about $5,000, but just depending on what the disability is, what type of services those students were getting, it can be more. So the bulk of my program is dependent on that scholarship. In fact, every last one of my students that is enrolled in my school at this moment receives that scholarship. So that's minus whatever. So my tuition is $10,000. They get that scholarship. That's minus that, and then their parents are responsible for paying the rest of that. Okay, so we talked about that. We already talked about loans, and we said we really want to kind of stay away from that. Let's see. Venture capital or seed funding organizations. You know, I think I tried like a GoFundMe. It didn't get a whole bunch, so it wasn't very profitable for me. But once again, I think it could be, just depending on who you are, what other people are surrounding you. And I always say, if I had it to do all over again, I would work harder at finding the people who needed my program before stepping out. So if I already was working with 3 or 4 parents who was like behind me, who's saying like, look, as soon as these doors open, my child is in your school, I think it would have been easier for something like a GoFundMe, because I would have rallied those parents to help me and to get the message out, you know? So I would still say that that could be a source of income, especially if you're providing some type of service that is really unique and more than what a student could get in a public school setting. So, you know, I guess my uniqueness is the fact that I'm doing something, or I'm claiming that I can do something that the public school systems in my area are not doing. And that is to educate with success students who are on IEPs. So a lot of times my argument is, well, not argument, but my pitch, especially when I'm trying to get partners and so forth, is that, hey, we work with a group of students who are at a disadvantage when they attend public schools. Some of them are at a financial, or for financial reasons are, you know, disadvantaged, a small portion of them, but just for the simple fact that the school system is not educating them at the levels that they should be educated at. That's kind of like my uniqueness, right? So I'm saying, hey, I provide a service for this group of kids who wouldn't normally reach out to a private school because they're so dependent on public education, because private, you know, obviously costs money, right? And so that's kind of really a part of the story that I tell. So if you have parents who are already rallying around you, who believe in your vision, or not even just parents, but once again, other people, like other businesses who see the value in what you're doing, and they will get on board with you. So a GoFundMe, some type of crowding fund would be excellent. Grants. So once again, that I think that I was really, really surprised at was the fact that when you think about grants, so when I started initially looking at grants, I thought they were really out of my reach. And sometimes they can be. But if you look, I got a grant from the county where we are. And I never knew about that. I think I ended up meeting someone. Matter of fact, someone told me, like, make it known. One, you guys know that, you know, my business structure is that of a nonprofit. So this is not a for-profit. This is a nonprofit. So someone was like, go around and introduce yourself to the government officials and politicians and so forth. So I believe I scheduled a meeting to see our commissioner. And that meeting was just to tell him about Triumph in Life, this nonprofit organization who was doing this awesome job of serving this group of students who are often left out. And then from that conversation, he said, go see this person. So I went to see that person, and I was like, hey, you know, here's this new nonprofit organization to this area. Do you know how, you know, resources financially or just volunteer that we would be able to benefit from? And so that's when I was told about a grant. And come to find out, okay guys, so not that you want to hear this, but my battery went dead, and it's like 4 or 5 days later now with this video. For whatever reason, I cannot get it done. After setting a hard deadline yesterday, just being with my infant and not getting a chance to complete it happened again. And here we are another day, because I said I was going to make sure I put it out today. So I said I'm going to stop overthinking it and go ahead on and complete it. So we still have 2 left, which is the grants and donation. So yeah, I was told about a grant for my county. And so it made it a lot easier, or the competition wasn't as great because it wasn't a national thing. It was on a county level. They were looking for organizations like mine that's kind of like mom and pop, because they want to invest in these types of organizations as much as possible to also accomplish the things that they have to do. So I got one of my highest grants from the county, and I also found out just like different stores with donations as well as grants. I got another grant from Dollar General, and it was to actually order my reading program, which was over $4,000. So, and we was a smack brand new organization, hadn't been getting grants a lot. So if you really research, it is out there. In addition, donations. At the time, my husband was working for Home Depot, and I discovered that for any of their employees, for even the ones that work in the stores, if you donate up to $3,000, anywhere from $25 to $3,000, that the company automatically matches that. So I know there's several other organizations like SunTrust Bank, and I really need to do more research to see if I can kind of just find and make a list of those. But at the time, while my husband was there, he donated every year. And then we also had a friend who is still there, and they still donate, and the company matches that. I believe it was like 6 ways that I gave you guys. You fund it personally. You can take out loans. Then there's some state vouchers or scholarships out there. There's also grants, and there's also donations. Okay, that is all. So you guys, I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions whatsoever, please put them down below. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. In addition, please come and check out some of my other videos. I am the special education guru. So if you're opening a school, and if you still would be serving some students who had disabilities and you needed a specialist, I am your girl. In addition, make sure in 2021 that you are checking back and making sure to keep an eye out for that resource that I will be developing. It is definitely going to be more specific. So my little one is up. I don't know if you guys hear him back there crying. But anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. And don't forget to write your questions down below. All right, have a great one. Bye.